Hey everybody, thanks for joining us today. We are so excited to sit down today with the artist Cookie. He has 3 cards in the first set, including the giant Tink that we all know and love, and 2 cards in the new Rise of the Floodborn. Thank you so much for joining us today, Cookie. Welcome to the channel.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you guys for organizing everything. It's been a pleasure getting to know you, and of course, thank you for uh, just sending over some of the cards that I've done as well as the actual Tinkerbell here, which I'm still shocked that I own. So yeah, that's been absolutely fantastic. Thank
That's
you so
incredible.
much.
Oh, it was our pleasure. You know, Aaron said you did 3 cards in the first set, but if you include the Enchanted, it's kind of
4,
4.
yeah.
Yeah, 2 separate pieces of art.
I know.
Oh yeah, true. I mean, they specifically, they got me to do both cards at the same time, so it was kind of like, I guess, both cards kind of tell a story. When she's just like leaning over the ship and then she's raising it up, and it was a really fun opportunity to just like get to design the costume as well, and have the same costume in both pieces.
Yeah. Well, I hope we get to talk a little bit more about that later in the interview, but we always love to start, in the last 3 months, there have been thousands and thousands of people around the world who have opened Lorcana and experienced your art for the very first time, in person, online. We'd love for you to take a brief moment to introduce yourself to all of your new fans and tell them a little bit about yourself.
Sure, of course. Well, I guess let me start uh, with my name is Michael Niewiadome, but I'm primarily known as Cookie online and in the industry as well. I love making fun, colorful art featuring characters that tell a story, and art is just my favorite thing ever, and artists that make it as well. It's what I'm most passionate about, and growing up, my primary inspirations were animated media like Ghibli, Disney, and like a handful of cartoons from back in the day, as well as traditional artists like Sargent or Leyendecker. More recently, I've been kind of popular, and my art has been blowing up a little bit from my Dungeons and Dragons art, which has also been a primary obsession of mine for the past few years. And yeah, I guess right now, currently, as a huge fan of video games, I'm working in that part of the industry, and I've been a professional freelancer since I was 17 years old, and it's been a fantastic time just getting to know people through art. It's been a wonderful experience.
There's so much to dig into there.
I know. I
I'm so
have
excited.
so many questions.
That's why we're here.
It's true. I guess one thing to peel back the onion a little bit more. When did you know as a kid like that art was not just a hobby of yours or passion of yours, but when you wanted to make it a career?
I mean, that's a huge question, but one I'm really glad to answer. Uh, I've always like really liked drawing as a kid, and like I said, I grew up with all these like animated media. But what really clicked for me was finding out how they made those, just individual drawings played in order just to make something move and feel alive. And I don't know, something for my child brain just clicked, and I kind of tried to replicate that process on my own. I took a piece of glass from just some garage, put it up on books. Made my own a light box, put a lamp beneath, just really primitive. And I started trying to attempt to do that and scan the drawings, put them back in. The computer edited it and played it in motion, and I actually got pretty far. And it was just so inspiring, just seeing something like really come to life, just even if it's just moving with no audio, no music, no voice acting, anything like that. And eventually you kind of like realize just how hard animation is, and I kind of gave up on animation because it was ridiculously hard, especially for, I think I was like 12 years old at the time. So I focused on just getting better at art, and I realized quickly that this is exactly what I want to do for a living if I can. Of course, and if not for a living, then just sort of as my primary hobby. but yeah, thankfully it managed to develop into my career. So I'm really happy about that.
So one of the things you mentioned, when you were talking about your childhood and history is Disney and Ghibli. I do want to ask, do you have a favorite Disney film or one that like particularly resonates with you from when you were a kid?
I'm not sure. I actually did think about this earlier today as well because I felt this question might come up, but it's just like it's just like picking a favorite child. It's basically impossible. I but on the top, I would definitely have to say Treasure Planet, The Lion King, of course, and I think just as a family, we constantly rewatched Emperor's New Groove. So I think that would have to be my top three for sure.
So unfortunately, Erin had to step away for a few minutes. Hopefully she'll be back. But in the meantime, I do want to go back and revisit Tinkerbell a little bit. I know there's a lot we can't talk about with the development of the card, but I do want to first say, we've done a couple fan polls to figure out what the most popular cards in the first set are. And people could rate the card on, mechanics as well as the overall art, the design, nostalgia, all those things mixed together. And Tinkerbell consistently comes out on top with at least half of Lorcana fans rating it in their top 10, which is amazing. What is it about this card that you think resonates so much with people?
I have no idea. Personally, I absolutely think that I could have done a better job on this card. I'm really happy that everyone is absolutely loving it. But I think maybe it's just seeing Tinkerbell in a more like absolutely like powerful position of just being huge, being a little bit more sure and confident, not through just her character but through her appearance. And I think the steel the steel card was like a really good choice for it. But yeah, I think maybe also it's just such a unique way to portray Tinkerbell. I don't think it's something that people have seen before. They haven't seen Tinkerbell in this form. Usually, Tinkerbell as a fairy is usually portrayed in such a way, but here she's just like a huge giant titan, raising the Jolly Roger out of the ship. So I think that contrast is what really grabbed people's attention.
I think you're right. You also did something that's hard to do, I think, and that's focus on a character and make a character like the central point of a piece, while also telling a story and providing like a narrative. Sometimes you either see a character like front and center, in the card frame, and there's not much going on, or you're zoomed way back to see some kind of a scene, and you've got both in there. Where Tinkerbell is definitely the star of the show, but there is a clear narrative and story being told there, which is just fascinating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and honestly, now that I'm looking at it in person, just the reflective quality to it, I think the simplicity of the background really helps to sell the card. Instead of having a busy background, it really just helps the character just jump out at you. It's I mean, I have no idea what I was thinking when I was making this 2 or 3 years back, but I think it really just like came out absolutely gorgeous with the metallic reflection on it. Yeah, I'm just so excited that people are really enjoying the card. I would have never expected. I was just like just another card just out of the way, and now it's kind of like coming full circle, and just kind of a little bit blowing it in my face, because I would have never expected that this would be the case for the Lorcana franchise. But yeah, I'm happy. I'm just really fun. I'm just excited.
That is fascinating. So it kind of reminds me, you talking about this 2-3 years ago, and I think a lot of artists have had this experience where, there was an initial shock, working on a Disney project, and then they're like, we're doing some art, with no concept for how big this project could be.
Yeah.
I guess, if you can talk about it, what was that when you first got contacted and said, hey, we want you to do Disney characters? What did that feel like? What was that experience like?
I mean, yeah, just like I mentioned previously, earlier, it was just a little bit kind of like, is this real? Because I'm not quite sure. Like, is this a prank? Is this, all these like questions, and then like once you realize that it's real, it's just like this imposter syndrome kicking in, like, oh my god, I'm not good enough for this. There's no way I could match up to, portray these Disney characters, because that was still quite early in my career. This is like one of the first bigger jobs that I've had. But then they kind of eased us into the project. They explained what it's about, and it kind of like overshadowed all those like more self-conscious and negative thoughts, and you really just got into the project. It was really exciting, and I think still is, of course, as it's growing further and further.
Do you have a favorite card or a piece of art in the first set that you didn't do?
Was it John Lauren? It might have been John Lauren with Winnie the Pooh Wizard.
The Honey Wizard,
I think.
Yeah.
I've seen so many of these cards, but I think that one still is like, it just jumps out at you because it's so like such a centric composition, and with just it's just so fun. Like the concept is just like very pure, very fun. And of course, John Lauren is amazing at art. We all know this, but he really just, I think, managed to stick that one. For me personally, at least, I think that one has to be my favorite.
I think you're not alone there. There's so many people who that card resonates with, and the card isn't great, and so many people are like, oh, why did you use such great art on on a common? And
Isn't it? Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah. But my point, my argument is commons deserve great art too. Like every card should have great art. So
absolutely, no, I agree. I feel like I personally never got into cards as a kid. I'm sort of like grasping just how huge it is, but I feel like the art is primarily like why people get so invested in these, and I can start to see the appeal just holding my own cards in my hand, and also some just seeing others. It's so unique, and such a fun way to make all these like little windows into all these characters, and how they can kind of like feel alive. So I can see the appeal. It's been amazing.
Yeah, it is fascinating. You mentioning the art, and one of the reasons that we love getting to know the artists and connecting fans with artists and all that is because people as card binders, their trade binders, their decks even are in a way miniature art galleries.
Exactly.
And so they're fun ways for people to discover artists that they may not otherwise be aware of, and to just experience art. And then it's also interesting in card games, the emotional attachment some people will get to specific pieces because they use them, they're functional, they play with them. And so years down the road, when maybe you've stopped playing that game, you can see one of those pieces of art that you used to play the game with, and the nostalgia that piece will invoke, will create, is pretty cool. So yeah, it's fascinating.
Yeah, people have a natural tendency to just kind of like connect with artwork, especially with Disney characters. So many people growing up with these franchises and movies. And personally as well, like the fact that for my first cards I got Beast and Simba, that was already like that was really huge for me. I couldn't have been more happier, and I tried my best back then, and I think it definitely shows through with these cards now, even to some extent.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely does. The Beast is another fantastic piece. The sense of motion, the anger, the way he's gripping that model of the Illuminary, I don't know. It's really cool. It's a really cool piece. So you've now had the opportunity to work on Disney, and you've done, and looking through your Instagram as well, we've seen a ton of different fan art, a lot of video game fan art. Zelda and Link features pretty prominently. So if you had a chance, if out of the blue you could pick one company or franchise or property to call you and say, hey, we want you to work on our property, what is your dream to work on?
This might be a little bit out of left field, but oddly enough, not Zelda. I think they do such an amazing job that I don't think there's personally anything I could contribute to that. But for me, I grew up with Sonic a lot, and I would actually probably just go crazy if I ever got to work on a Sonic game. Um, and I kind of might have already started developing something of a mock-up for a fan game that is essentially how I'd want to see Sonic done. And I hope to find some time for it in the next few years. But I'm really gravitated to sort of how, the franchise, despite me absolutely enjoying the games and being such a huge fan of them as a kid, growing up with those games, buying the new releases. It's a franchise that has like famously stumbled with its games, but sort of because of that, kind of created this like really unique and I guess meme centric and humorous community that is really passionate about a game, because they can really contribute their sort of creativity and input to something that they feel like could use more of that. So that's just something I'm really interested in with that specific franchise. And yeah, you never know. Maybe down the line they'll be doing something. They'll be like looking for some artists. You never know.
Hopefully they watch this and take notes. That'd be so cool. It is interesting, when we ask that question a lot, a lot of people will answer, their favorite franchise they just want to have like the honor of being a part of. But it's so cool to see, say, hey, I've got something to contribute here. Like I see the areas where, I know what resonates with me as a fan growing up and everything else, and I know how to bring that, forward. And yeah, that's pretty cool.
Absolutely. And just with like franchises that you really like, but there's a huge difference between really loving a franchise and working on it, because for Zelda, like Zelda is absolutely up there with my favorite franchises and favorite games, but I just like working on it. I don't think I could even match up to sort of like what people already have been doing for it. Nintendo has just absolutely insanely skilled veteran artists just working on that, and I feel like I would kind of like muck up like this sort of huge thing, and so I'm just like I don't want to touch it. I want to be as just sort of like a viewer, like a participant to what they're putting out, but for when it comes to actually making things, I feel like just actually seeing something that I really want to do, like I can see how this can improve. I have my own vision for this, that has been really sort of like the point of just if I had a franchise or like any kind of game I wanted to work on, that'd be kind of like the driving motivation for it.
That's awesome. We always, if you've watched any of our interviews, you know that we always finish up with a series of questions from a Proust questionnaire. There's 10 of them, and they're a real fun way to get to know, the artists and get to know you. Usually I have help going back and forth. Unfortunately, Aaron had to step away, so it's just me. But if you don't mind, I'll start with question 1.
Sure.
And the question is, what sound or noise do you love?
Definitely just like a fireplace crackling, or not necessarily a fireplace, but also just like a bonfire or a campfire. It's always just so relaxing, and you can really just tune yourself out. If there's also rain added to that, that's just perfect.
That steady noise. That's awesome.
It's really cool. Yeah.
What sound or noise do you hate?
Oh my god, definitely people chewing loudly. I feel like that's a very popular like tick for a lot of people, and definitely rings true for me. I don't know, I can't explain it. I sometimes, if I'm having a bad day, someone's like really getting into the food that they're eating, I just have to get up and leave. I'll make up an excuse. Oh, sorry, I have to go to the bathroom, or like I have to take out. I sometimes I wish I smoked so I could just use that as an excuse. But yeah, that's definitely like biggest sound that I just I can't stand.
That is a popular answer, actually. Marcel Berg said the exact same thing.
There you go.
That's funny. What is your idea of happiness?
Wow, that is. Let me think about that one. Probably just being able to go after what you're passionate about, and beyond that, just hanging out with the people that you care about, people that you enjoy being around, doing things that you enjoy, and just really sort of embracing the experience that you're having with other people. I would have to say.
Who is your favorite hero in fiction?
Like superhero, or in general protagonist?
It could be whatever answer you want to provide. Yeah, could be superhero, it could be protagonist.
I think Spider-Man. Honestly, I grew up. I was such a nerdy kid. I grew up with a lot of things, but out of all these things, I think Spider-Man definitely kind of like stands out. And Into the Spider-Verse, everyone loves that movie. So do I, and it was such a huge turning point for me on my artistic journey. And already being such a huge fan of the movies and the superhero in general. I think just the relatableness of how they're presenting Spider-Man. Just juggling these two identities. Just being a normal kid or young adult, and having to juggle that with being a superhero. It really has a grounding sense to it that I don't think any other sort of like superhero has captured, at least for me. So I've always been such a huge fan of Spider-Man, so I'd have to say Spider-Man.
Love it. Who is your favorite heroine in fiction?
Oh, that one's easy. Ripley from the Alien movies. Still, just Alien is in my top 10 movies. I think Ripley has to probably be like my favorite movie character. Just such a badass character. Like it doesn't get better than that. Yeah, it's just it not only is the character just badass, but also just really cool. Just also grounded. They're not cool because they're fearless or they can do all these like crazy things. They're cool because they're also scared. There's that point of like relatability. Ripley goes through so many like various things. That it just makes you not only like admire and look up to the character, but also kind of relate to them as well.
That's awesome. So cool. Great answer. What talent would you most like to have?
Talent. Actually, recently, I have this on my desk right now. I've been getting into sculpting, and it's something that I used to do a little bit as a kid, but now I'm actually professionally getting into it. Bought all these tools, and I'm actually starting to do like a little dragon head here.
That's so cool.
Hopefully that shows up on the camera. It's very work in progress, but it's been such a fun time. Just being able to pick on this. I literally got the materials earlier this week. Like during movies, it's such a fun pastime that really kind of like it gets you focused, and then kind of gets you in a meditative flow state that I really enjoy. And it's fun just kind of like revisiting something that I really liked as a kid, and getting to do it, but with like a little bit more skillfulness coming from just being into art and then working in art for so many years. So I'm working on that most recently.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
What are your most treasured possessions?
I'm not like a huge material person. Like I have all these like there's like a bunch of junk behind me. Like these are like stuff that I use for references, for like shooting pictures of myself, just so I can like get a better sense of a pose or a character. But I think I should actually have this somewhere here. All right, so when I was really kind of like starting to be more serious about art and like learning all these basics, I never went to art school, so I had to learn everything online, and a huge inspiration was this comic Lackadaisy, made by Tracy Butler. It's about cats during the American Prohibition in the 20s, and I managed, when she was sort of kickstarting her book. I'm not sure if it was Kickstarter, but she was offering sketches for people. So I got one of original sketch from her. Back when I was in high school, I had to ask for my parents for some extra money, but it was This is probably has to be my single most like prized possession. Besides my files that I work on.
That's so cool. It's always so cool when you manage to get a piece of something that deeply resonates with you. That's so cool.
Yeah, no, it's just such a fantastic time. That comic, I highly recommend it. They actually started. We were talking about animation a little bit earlier. They actually recently released like a short based on a comic, on the comic itself, and it's been amazing seeing like the kind of like animation industry just go out a little bit more into more interesting and unique projects.
That's so cool. I love it. What are your favorite names?
Names? I'm terrible with names. I'm not sure I can even ask this question. Like, I will spend like 2 weeks naming a character that I come up with. I'm sorry, I don't know. I have no idea.
Okay.
I hope that's an acceptable answer.
It is an acceptable
I'm
answer.
seriously drawing a blank.
That's all right. Hey, the purpose is to learn, and that tells us something. So here's an easy question. What is your motto?
Motto. Definitely sort of. Well, I don't have like a way to phrase it in a nice way, but like put in the work now instead of putting it off and letting the problem grow. So if you have something to do, you're able to take care of it now. Just get to it, and you'll be better off. You won't have to be thinking about it. You'll be off of your mind. If it's something that takes like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, just get it out of the way. That's kind of like my motto before it like kind of like keeps growing, and it becomes this like thing that you've been putting off for so long that now you're intimidated by the thing itself. So one of like kind of my mottos and things that I have to constantly remind myself is just to take care of it. Just get out of the way. Don't worry about it later. I'm definitely like a very, very anxious person, so that was sort of a huge help in kind of like lowering my stress levels throughout the day. Is just get it done just as soon as possible, and then I can have sort of like the rest of the week or the day just free to enjoy.
And finally, what is one question we didn't ask you that you wish we would have?
You kind of asked about it, or I kind of like divulged into it. I wish you guys asked me like what I have planned for my own personal projects next year.
Well, what do you have planned for your personal projects next year?
Well, I'm finally gonna make a website for one. So that's been on my list for forever, but I just couldn't really get into it for some reason. But I really, because I've been sort of so famous for, or not famous, but like well known for like Dungeons and Dragons art, specifically of Dragonborn. Like it's kind of become like a staple, and I don't know, just something for me clicks with like dragons and dragon people specifically. So I want to develop more of that. I want to make more pieces with that. I want to make more pieces with my character Milo, which is also a Dragonborn. And create like possibly maybe eventually start developing like a book about Dragonborn. That is not something I will definitely be done with next year, but something that I really want to start on a little bit more. and I just really want to go back and sort of take care of like a bunch of private commissions that I've had. Just they've had to been put aside for personal reasons, for life, for my like more regular job, and I wanna make time for that. I want to go back into it and really go back to um, connecting with people through art, because when you're working on big companies, or for Lorcana, for example, you make a piece of art and you only see it like 3 years later. You might even forget that you made it in the first place. So just I really want to focus on just kind of going back to what people enjoy about my artwork and what I enjoy about my artwork.
That's so cool. Well, I, for one, can't wait to share the link to your new website, when it goes live, and then and to kickstart your Dragonborn book one day, if that
Hopefully.
becomes a thing, because that's so cool. I will say, yeah, you mentioning the Dragonborn, your Dragonborn sketches and your art is fantastic, and the amount of like expression you get into these Dragonborn characters, despite the fact that they're not humans,
Mhm.
is fantastic. So I'd love to
Thank
see more of
you.
it.
Thank you. Yeah, that's also been such a huge interest of mine, is sort of like anthropomizing, like things or animals or creatures with like this human sense of expression, and it's definitely what kind of like developed through Disney for sure, because they have all these like animals, objects, or just crazy characters that are brought to life through human expression, and that's been such a huge driving force for sort of developing my artwork more and more. So I'm really happy that that comes through. It just means a lot.
And I'm so sorry I had to step away, but I'm sure y'all had an amazing chat. So I'm excited to watch it back.
It was so fun. Of course, I wish you were here, but I'll definitely like catch you next time, maybe at any point, possibly, or at an event. I
I
would
would
love to
love that.
chat with both of you guys. Thank you so much for having me again, and thank you so much for sending and providing me with my own cards as well.
Well, thank you so much for making incredible artwork.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Cookie. We'll see you soon.